Leaks are an unfortunate fact of life. They happen all the time in all forms of media. TV shows, movies, and of course, video games. I've never really seen the point of leaks myself. I just see them as a way of spoiling the experience before you've even had a chance to enjoy it. And yet, people seem to love them. All the franchises I love are subject to leaks, with Doctor Who and Pokémon being especially leaky. And every year, people seem to blur the line between leak and reveal more and more, when actually leaks are not just a way of ruining the experience, but they're also, in most cases, illegal. And just to be clear, there are no leaks in this video or any other videos on my channel due to personal policy, so please also respect that in the comments. Please don't be posting any leaks, especially not anything to do with Gen 10 or after that, because it's going to really annoy me, because I am the only moderator on this channel, so I have to check the comments for leaks and remove them, and so I am, by proxy, getting leaked. So please, just don't do it. Don't be that person. But anyway, with all of that said, let's get into the video. In 2024, Game Freak's internal servers were maliciously hacked with the intention of leaking data from them. More than a terabyte of data was stolen and leaked online for everyone to see, including unused concepts from earlier titles, a list and description of every single Mega Evolution in ZA and possibly Mega Dimension, and a bunch of stuff relating to Game Freak's work on their next project until 2030. That's still 4 more years of information that is now just sitting there on the internet. Most likely, that information covers the entire 10th generation of Pokémon games, and for what it's worth, I'm trying my absolute hardest to avoid these leaks because that's just insane to me. And what makes all of this worse is that people are just spreading these like they're fact. People, especially in the Pokemon fandom, forget that not everyone wants to engage with leaks, and so they just put them in YouTube thumbnails and social media posts like it's nothing. No amount of muting words and careful searches is ever enough for me to be hidden from all of these leaks. I knew a few of the Pokemon with Mega Evolutions going into ZA, unfortunately, and I also know more than I want to about Gen 10, because when I was doing research for my last video, I ended up finding out a couple of pieces of information that I really wish I hadn't, and then, when the video was released, it was then multiple comments were released on that video featuring leaks, which was really frustrating, and I then had to go through and remove them and make sure that all of the leaks were gone. It means that I have ended up finding out a couple of pieces of information that I really wish I hadn't, and I'm really hoping that I can kind of forget them before the reveals actually happen. I think for me the biggest question I have is why? I am a big lover of reveals. I think that the excitement and anticipation of not knowing and finding out something is one of the biggest joys in any media cycle for me. With Doctor Who, finding out that Missy was the Master is still one of the biggest shock moments that I can clearly remember. And then they did it again with O in Spyfall. Pokemon's done the same for me. In ZA, finding out that Prism Tower would be the final boss of the game was a real shock to me, and I was so excited when it happened. I would honestly really appreciate it if someone could explain to me in the comments why they look at leaks without leaking anything from Gen 10 or beyond. I do remember, way back when, having a reason for looking at leaks, because I did in the past. It was only in late 2022 that I kind of realised I didn't actually want my entire experience to be a yep, knew that fest. During the Sword and Shield era, I actually looked at all the Starter Evolution leaks, and then avoided the rest of them as best as I could, as I just wanted to make sure that I was happy with my starter choice in Scorbunny. Of course I actually was. I love Scorbunny and that entire line. Oh, some of my favourite Pokemon ever, it has to be said. And then with Legends Arceus. Oh my god, I have so many regrets about this moment. Oh my god. In case you don't know, or you forgot, the day before the 2021 Pokemon Presents, a leak surfaced claiming that the Sinnoh remakes would be simple and chibi style, but a new kind of open game was also coming and would be set in the past of Sinnoh. Later that day, part of the actual Arceus trailer was leaked, and I saw it, and so when they announced it, I wasn't as excited as I would have been. I mean, can you imagine just seeing that with no prior context after you'd literally just had the most disappointing game reveals ever in BDSP? I'd have thought I was dreaming. Of course, I was still excited when I saw the leaks, but it just doesn't compare to the excitement that I would have had and I would have felt if I had just watched the Presents on its own. Even during the Scarlet and Violet days, I'd look at some leaks until the summer, really. I saw the Paldean gym leaders leak and the pictures of Flamigo and the like. I still feel it's a real shame that I had all of this spoiled for me, as I'd have really liked to see these revealed naturally. But why did I look at them? Well, it was for two reasons. Firstly, it was because at the end of the day, I wanted to know more. And I'm sure that this is the reason many will cite for looking at leaks now. But it's so easy to see a Pokemon game with their slow reveal schedule and want to know more about those games before you make those purchases, and quickly as well, as sometimes the periods between trailers can be excessively long, especially between the initial reveal and the second trailer. Usually it lasts from about end of February to kind of beginning of June. I can understand that reasoning, especially for people who like to make predictions, but at the end of the day, they're making predictions based on information that 1, could be false, and 2, isn't officially revealed, so not everyone knows about it. The other reason that I look at leaks was quite backwards, but it was to avoid being spoiled about the game experience. If I saw the leaks myself, I couldn't be spoiled by others, right? And to an extent, I wasn't wrong. I've spent months dodging ZA, Mega Dimension, and Gen 10, and even further leaks. I think it's a real shame that this is the way things are, and there's seemingly nothing we can do about it. So I've talked now a bit about why. Let's talk about who. This section's an important one, because I'm sorry, but the way that people who leak Pokemon games behave is actually ridiculous and can be incredibly detrimental to people. I am specifically talking about the people who actually do the leaking, the leakers, but then we'll also touch on the behaviour of the leak enjoyers. Starting with the leakers themselves, I'm sorry to just kind of get down to it, but the rhetoric spewed by some of the most popular of these people is just kind of disgusting. The amount of slurs I've seen come out of leakers' mouths are insane. And the way that people just accept it, like it's okay, just because they got a little bit of Pokemon info early. It's really not okay. Leakers, do better. Hold each other accountable. If you're going to leak a Pokemon game, show some bloody respect, at the very least, to the people you're leaking to. And more importantly, have some morals, and don't abuse your power. It is sickening that you think it's okay to talk about people the way you do. And at the end of the day, if you're doing this all for clout, then at least try to respect your fans. And what's with the infighting? None of you are primary sources for leaks. None of you work for Game Freak, Nintendo, or the Pokemon Company, or Creatures. None of this information is made by you. So why do you feel the need to constantly bully and belittle one another? The Pokemon community is already embedded with drama. Why do you feel the need to take it that much further? And again, the rhetoric you spew while doing it is disgusting and really mean-spirited. Not a single one of you is doing good work, and you're all having these civil wars to decide who's the best leaker. It's embarrassing. It's really, really embarrassing, and it only sparks division within the fanbase. Something we as fans really did not need any help with in the first place. Have you seen the Pokemon community? We fight over trees. We fight over literally anything. There is also the weird decision that so many of you make to just straight up lie. Now, I don't mind a fake leak. I think it's actually a fun idea for fans to try and make something that seems official. Maybe it's kind of trick people, but ultimately, it is just a creative exercise. And hey, who knows? You might be right, you might make some predictions. But then there are some leakers, not naming any names because I really do not care to get in on the drama, who reveal a bunch of true information and then suddenly switch it up and start talking a load of bullshit. For example, claiming that unique terraforms were coming in the Indigo Disc, not referring to Ogerpon, and claiming that Paldea Realty would have some involvement in ZA because the same order of lettering is used when it has already been established that the Pokemon typeface that we've seen in Galar and Paldea is not a consistent language, and is instead often repeats phrases and lines when meaning something completely different. Spreading theories is one thing, but branding them the exact same way as you do actual leaks and just claiming that you were baiting the content creators is a really, really random decision. Surely from your perspective as a leaker, that hurts your credibility, right? I also think that a lot of leakers see themselves as above the Pokemon community and a lot of Pokemon fans let them and just treat them as if they're royalty. Come on people. These people are the same as the rest of us, and just know that people in the right place to get privileged information that the rest of us don't. It blows my mind that we let these people get away with anything for the sake of having a tiny crumb of information on the games that were released in less than a year. I mean, even when the Teraleak happened, it was only, about a year before ZA actually released? Yes, of course, it's revealed games for much further on down the line, but I don't really see the big deal in waiting. You weren't supposed to know this information. Why do you need to? What benefit does it give you? Anyway, moving back on to the fans. I'm sorry, but you all need to start holding leakers to account. Why is it that you let these people get so popular, and then when they're out here saying slurs, bullying fans, and being the unnecessary centres of attention, everyone just sits there, unwilling to maybe choose to not support someone who cares so little for other people? Now, maybe I sound like I'm being a bit dramatic here. Maybe I do. But you know what? Sometimes it's actually really difficult to work out why some people are allowed to be like this, when we're so good at rightfully condemning other members of our community who do the same things. Please, I really need you to consider the weight you place on someone actively breaking their contract and to tell you information slightly early. Does it really make them so untouchable? What is it, genuinely, that compels you to look at leaks, to search them out, to just beg for any information? And also to the fans. Here's the one thing that many of you do that is straight up just unkind. You talk about these leaks like they're public knowledge. I made it expressly clear when the Teraleak happened that I did not want to know anything, to everybody who knew me. But then by the end of the day, I'm forced to find out that Zygarde and Zeraora are getting Mega Evolutions because they couldn't just not tell me. And it's affected my day-to-day life as well. I've pretty much come off of most social medias, I've stopped making many new friends who have an interest in Pokemon, and all because I'm so worried that people are just going to tell me everything I don't want to know going into the next Pokemon games. Now again, that might sound quite dramatic, but it is actually the way my brain has been working these last few months, especially with Gen 10 and beyond being leaked already. I cannot get over this enough. It is not Pokemon Day on 2026 yet. When I'm recording this, it is the 7th of February. We've still got 20 days until the reveal of Gen 10 supposedly will happen. We don't even know if it's going to happen then. I'm assuming it will, based on patterns, based on my predictions of the last few years, having watched Pokemon Presents for the last however long, and knowing how Pokemon reveals tend to happen. I am expecting a reveal of Gen 10. But we don't even know if we're going to get a Gen 10 reveal in 20 days' time. You're all acting like this is some foregone conclusion, like everything you've seen in this Teraleak is just confirmed information that everybody should know. I don't want to know. I want to wait and roll with it and just kind of get to the point where Game Freak tells me themselves what I should know about this game before it comes out. So I simply ask that if you're going to talk about leaks, put the appropriate spoiler tags, and where possible, please keep it to closed-loop social platforms, especially for Pokemon leaks, just like Discord and Reddit. There are specific Pokemon Leaks Discords. There is a r/PokeLeaks server on Reddit or whatever. You can go over there and talk about leaks all you like, and nobody who's out of that space will get spoiled. It just helps everybody avoid spoilers, as even just muting words is never enough nowadays, as a lot of you will just post pictures without hitting a key phrase like the word leak, and other people will just repost them, as if, again, we should all just know. Now, to move on to why leaks are bad from a game design perspective. The Teraleak might not seem like a malicious, potentially harmful attack on a company's infrastructure, but it really is. We don't know what, ultimately, was taken from the Game Freak servers. We do not know, outside of the Pokemon game leaks, what else was stolen. They could have taken employee data, which they could hold to ransom for money, or legal information, or anything. We have no way of knowing, and we don't even know if Game Freak know what was stolen fully. Do you have any idea how much that would affect the team morale? I can't imagine it would have done much good. There's also the small detail of everything being variable. Nothing is set in stone. What people have seen of Gen 10 could have completely changed in the 1.5 years between those leaks and its reveal. Companies are more likely to change or scrap ideas that have leaked to the public No clue why, maybe just for a "you thought we were doing this, but actually" kind of moment. But it would be crushing to work on a game for months or even years and suddenly have to scrap it and start something new, simply because some people couldn't be bothered to wait. We don't even know if Game Freak are aware of what the leaks have revealed to the public. They could be blissfully unaware that now many fans know the setting for the next region, or what the next game afterwards has in store. From their perspective, it must seem like a very stressful time. You now know that there is data out there. You might even have seen some preemptive fan reactions. Now, I haven't personally, but if you have, and those are negative, and if you're working on these games, and you have to keep kind of working on these games, knowing that fans have already expressed their disappointment or, whatever, it must be crushing. Now, I'm not going to be all doom and gloom about this, but we do need to bear in mind that these games aren't just generated by some AI or some nebulous company. At the end of the day, these games are made by people, just like us, who have lives and families and fears. What this does to their mental well-beings cannot be overstated. They now know that their data could be out there for people to see, or that the projects that they've worked so hard on for months and years could all be corrupted or changed at the drop of a hat. It's a really scary prospect, and while I don't know what most leakers haven't done anything remotely like that, that doesn't mean they won't. But with that, I think it's time for me to leave you for today. I think that this video is probably going to come off very PSA-y. It is going to sound a bit like that, because at the end of the day, I'm sharing my very unpopular opinion and criticising a lot of people while doing it. But I do feel strongly about this, and I know that many of you in my audience do as well, as I got multiple comments on last week's video thanking me for not talking about the leaks. And I promise to all of you that I will continue to keep those leaks away, even if I do end up accidentally seeing one against my will. That actually happened to me a couple of months ago in the run-up to CA. I saw Mega Meganium leaked, which was upsetting, as I really wanted that to be a surprise for me when I got it in-game. And I also knew about Excadrill getting a Mega Evolution. And the day of release, I foolishly opened YouTube and got spoiled about Lysander. I was absolutely fuming. But with all of that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.